Welcome to Big B Daily. No frauds allowed.
What is going on, people? What's going on? Welcome back to the Big B Daily Show. This is your man, Brien Hanley, otherwise known as Big B. We're live on TikTok. We are live on YouTube. What is going on, people? Good Wednesday, hump day. A lot of things still going on in the NFL. A lot of things as far as basketball-wise, coaching moves. We're going to get into all of that today. So I appreciate you guys showing up, you guys showing out. Let's get into this thing. Again, on TikTok, 3,500 likes. Keep hitting that screen. Keep tapping the like button. And if you're not following, please give us a follow. We need at least 30 new follows in here today. So if you happen to be in here and you're not following, remember, please give us a follow. We appreciate it. We absolutely appreciate it. So that is the main goal for today. On YouTube, please, if you're not subscribed, please come subscribe. Big B Sports Talk. We appreciate it. We are growing crazy over on YouTube, man. We're almost to 4,200. We have grown about 200% in the last, I would say 90 days. So we are growing everywhere, man. The same goes for TikTok. We're growing on TikTok. It's about 172% on TikTok over the same time period. So I appreciate your all support, man. Thank you. So let's get into this, man. As we've changed Fraud of the Week. We used to do Fraud of the Week on Tuesday, and we've moved it now to Wednesday. I don't know why the change. I think it's more of one day I forgot, and now we're just doing it on Wednesday. But the Fraud of the Week. Now, I think everybody kind of knows where I'm going with this. If you know me, you know who I think is the Fraud of the Week. Now, can Philly be a fraud? Let's just start there. And y'all know I take your input on who should be Fraud of the Week. So let me know. Let me know. I think we know the Cowboys are in that conversation. I think we know the Cowboys are absolutely in that Fraud of the Week conversation. But what about Philly? Can Philly be a Fraud of the Week? Can the Eagles? I mean, the last 6 weeks of the season, did anybody think that the Eagles were any good? That's my only thing. You got to be considered good to be Fraud of the Week. And I think more people than not thought that Philadelphia was going to lose. Now, I don't know that they thought they were going to get their head beat in. So, but I think most people thought they were going to lose. So, I just think, yeah, a lot of people are just saying it's only the Cowboys. I got to agree. I don't see how anybody else can be considered for a Fraud of the Week. It's got to be the Cowboys. Number 2 seed. Played outstanding at home. Top offense in the league. Top 5 defense in the league. Playing one of the youngest team, if not the youngest team in the NFL. And got your head beaten in at home. I don't think that we can justify not making the Cowboys Fraud of the Week. Now, look, Marvel Fanatic is a Cowboy fan, so he says Philly over here on YouTube. Yeah, we're not buying that, brother. We're not buying that. Not today. Not today. It's got to be the Cowboys. It has to be the Cowboys. So, here's the thing. Somebody says, first loss over on TikTok. First loss to a 7 seed and first loss at home since 2022. Yeah, it's them boys. Yeah, the Eagles were bad. But, and that was embarrassing what the Eagles did. But, yeah, I think at the end of the year, I don't think people thought that the Eagles were any good. And y'all know the concept, and y'all know my philosophy on Fraud of the Week. You have to be considered good to be a fraud. And everybody thought that they were good. Everybody thought the Cowboys were good. And they were. Let's just give them their props. They were good. And everybody thought that. And then for them to just lay an egg, Dak Prescott, bad. Defense, even worse. And you know me, I put way more blame on that defense than I do Dak. And I'm not saying Dak played good, because he didn't. He didn't play good. You know, all them empty calories, those empty stats at the end of the game, pathetic. Just pathetic. But that defense was worse. That defense was worse. So how can the Lions be? You must just be a Lion fan talking. The Lions are clearly not frauds. And that's what we're talking about right now, is frauds of the week. So the Cowboys have to be considered the fraud of the week. Jerry Jones, I don't know what they're going to do. We'll get into that when we get into the Q&A section, and I'll ask you guys what you think the Cowboys should do. But, yeah, I don't think it's up for debate, you know, because and I know some people are saying the Dolphins. Do we think the Dolphins were really that good? I mean, the Dolphins beat one good team all year. That was the Cowboys, and the Cowboys, again, laid down. But other than that, what good team did the Dolphins beat? I mean, they didn't beat anybody any good. And I know nobody thought that the Dolphins were going to Kansas City and winning. Nobody thought that. So that's my point, is that nobody thought that. Over here on YouTube, Eagles weren't any good towards the end, and they were banged up. Bucks were hot and confident at home. I bet Bucks to soften the blow of us getting smacked. I mean, yeah, I guess, but the Bucks were better. The Bucks were a better team on Monday, and the Eagles were beat up. They weren't any good. I'm just not going to make them fraud of the week. They got more. They were embarrassed, but I think everybody saw it coming. Everybody saw it coming. You know, I don't think it was anything, crazy. I just think people saw that the Eagles had completely fallen apart. And, I mean, they're talking about getting a new coach in Philly, which is crazy. But we'll see. You go to the Super Bowl, you win 11 games, make the playoffs, to fired? That's tough. That's tough. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Yeah, I actually believe they were going to win. Who? Bud Snodgrass, who did you think was going to win? Don't tell me you thought that the Dolphins were going to win. There ain't no way the Dolphins were going to Kansas City and win it. They had proven nothing all year that said that they could go there and win. Nothing. So, and you're right. Here's a good point. Darren Howard on YouTube, who says, nobody talked about them boys missing Diggs. Seemed like they didn't need him until they did against Green Bay because they got sliced up. Yeah, that's exactly right. Nobody said anything about Diggs. Remember, they had Lawrence Taylor on their team. Micah Parsons, Lawrence Taylor. Turns out, yeah, he wasn't Lawrence Taylor. He wasn't Lawrence Taylor. And I think Micah Parsons is outstanding. One of the top pass rushers in the league. But that's what he is. But don't tell me he's Lawrence Taylor. Please, for the love of God, stop with the Lawrence Taylor comparisons. You think Lawrence Taylor in a playoff game, is going to have one assisted tackle? That's it. One pressure and one assisted tackle. That's all Micah Parsons had against the Packers. I mean, and I don't remember anybody saying that the Packers had this great offensive line. I don't remember anybody saying that. I don't remember anybody saying that the Packers had this great rushing attack. Although the last 3 weeks, Aaron Jones ran for 100 yards in each game. And then against the Cowboys, he ran right over them too. But I don't remember that being the case. People were talking about Jordan Love and the young receivers, and they just completely dominated them. Just dominated them. It is what it is. It is what it is. Let's move on, people. Let's move on. So the Atlanta Falcons, who, by all accounts, Arthur Blank, I don't think Arthur Blank is a bad owner. Do y'all think Arthur Blank is a bad owner? I don't think he's bad, but he says some foolish stuff. Now, Atlanta Falcons fans are going to say that Arthur Blank is a bad owner. And I mean, they're going to say he's a bad owner. And he says some outlandish stuff, like talking about, well, it wasn't a mistake to go after Lamar. And just admit you're wrong. You can be wrong as a billionaire. I know you don't like to admit it, but you can be wrong. And boy, were they wrong. Betting on Ritter. Whew. Bad. But they fired their coach, Arthur Smith, who was, it seemed like Arthur Smith was coaching like he wanted to be fired. Like he was coaching, I mean, not using his weapons midway through the year. I'm like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You know, it just seemed like he didn't want to be there anymore, which is fine. Who says he should have been there in the first place? That might have been part of the problem. But, you know, every good offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator isn't necessarily a leader of men and needs to be hired. Just because you can coordinate good doesn't mean that you can lead good. And I think Arthur Smith proved he couldn't lead. So it is what it is. But they're going out and they are shooting for the stars to bring in a new head coach. They're interviewing Belichick. They're interviewing Harbaugh. They are leaving no stone unturned to get their next head coach. And personally, if I'm a Falcons fan, at least you're doing that. Maybe you get them, maybe you don't. I don't think Atlanta is a bad job. It's a great city. They've got cap space. They've got a defense. They've got a great offensive line. Not a good one, a great offensive line. They've got some pieces. Now they need a quarterback. They need a quarterback. But if they can find that, I think Atlanta's got something. Now, the problem with some of this is Belichick's going to want full control. I don't know that you give Bill Belichick full control. I just don't. The reason I say that is what's he done the last 3 years? Once Tom Brady left, and even before Brady left, New England was falling apart. The roster was falling apart. And Brady was helped keeping it together with dental floss. You know, he was stringing it together with dental floss. So I don't know that you trust Bill Belichick to put your team together, to put your roster together. Because what it looked like at the end, I mean, look at that New England team right now. They're nowhere close ready to win. They are not just a quarterback away. They got a lot of holes. They got a lot of things that they need to put together. So, yeah, and like I said, I like the idea of Belichick being the coach there. But you also have to go into it thinking, well, how long is Belichick going to coach? How long is he going to do it? You know, do you want a guy that's only going to be there 2 or 3 years? Are the Falcons thinking they can win a Super Bowl in the next 2 or 3 years? Maybe. I don't know. But that's what you got to take into consideration is how long is Belichick going to coach? Do you want to give him full control? I think the answer to Belichick is we're going to pass. If I'm the Falcons, I know that's hard to say as a Falcons fan, but I would pass on Belichick. That wouldn't be the guy that I want. I want my guy to be there a decade. I think Jim Harbaugh, on the other hand, might be there for a decade. And does he want full control? I don't know that he might want full control. I think he's going to want a huge say-so. But coming off of what he's coming off, maybe he does want full control. And if he does, okay, you probably give it to him. And he knows how to build a football team. And, you know, Atlanta should be built on toughness. I don't know how they weren't built on toughness with that offensive line. I think Jim Harbaugh comes in and changes all of that. They take all of that. So, as somebody over on TikTok said to take Vrabel over Belichick, I 1,000% agree. I 1,000% agree. Belichick might be the GOAT. Y'all better recognize. Who cares if he's the GOAT? He was the GOAT 15 years ago, 10 years ago. He ain't been the GOAT the last 3 years. So just because somebody is the greatest of all time, that doesn't mean they're the greatest right now. Perfect example, Michael Jordan. How good would Michael Jordan be at playing basketball right now? I mean, if you think Michael Jordan's the GOAT, okay, how good is he playing basketball right this very second? Just because you're the greatest at something doesn't mean you're always the greatest. Skills erode, the mind erodes. I don't believe that Belichick is the GOAT of coaching right this second. And that's what Atlanta needs. They need a guy. I think Harbaugh would be better. I think Vrabel would be better. Hell, if I'm Atlanta, I look into trading for Mike Tomlin. A 3rd-round pick? Give up let me ask. Would you all, if you're Atlanta, would you trade a 3rd-round pick to get Mike Tomlin to be your head coach? And I'm a diehard Steeler fan, but you also know I'm ready to move off Tomlin. But would you trade a 3rd-round, like if you're Seattle, Washington, but we'll just talk Atlanta because that's what we're talking about. Would you give up a 3rd-round pick to get Mike Tomlin to be your head coach? I think the answer has to be unequivocally yes. Has to be yes. And if it's not, then what are you doing in Atlanta? What's the goal? Is it just to have an offensive coach? Or do you want the best coach? Because I think if you want the best coach, you got to start thinking big in Atlanta. Arthur Blank's got to open up the checkbook. He's got to open up the checkbook and give their team an opportunity. So I don't know. That's what I think should happen. Trade for Tomlin. Either get Harbaugh or trade for Tomlin. I think that's the top 2 picks. What do you guys think? TikTok, YouTube, what do you guys think about that? Good defense, great offensive line. You just need it. They can run the football. You need a competent quarterback. I'm not even saying you need the greatest quarterback on earth. You need competency. You couldn't go get Russell Wilson for a 4th-rounder or maybe a 3rd-rounder the previous year. You could do that in Atlanta. You got to tell Russell, you got to restructure your contract, bro. Otherwise, you can't be here. I think some of that can happen. Atlanta's not that far away. Vrabel to Pittsburgh. Tomlin to Atlanta for a 2. Vrabel to Pittsburgh. I wouldn't be mad about that. I'm a Steelers fan. I wouldn't be mad about it. I wouldn't even if it wasn't a 2, even if it was a 3 for Tomlin, I would take it. Yeah, absolutely. I think Atlanta's onto something here. I think they got to make a move. I think Atlanta's got to start saying, what can we be? What can we be with proper head coaching? I think they've left a lot of meat on the bone over the years without proper head coaching. They win that Super Bowl with proper head coaching. Say what you want about Dan Quinn. Get a hold of your offensive coordinator and run the football. And you win a Super Bowl. That's a lack of leader of men. That's a lack of leadership, man. Should have just went to him and said, we're running the football. Thanks for the gift over on TikTok, man. I appreciate it. Y'all keep tapping the screen, by the way. 3,500 likes and at least 30 new follows. That's what we're looking for today. And then tap on the screen in YouTube, in my bio, tap on the YouTube link and come subscribe over on YouTube and join the chat. But that's what I'm thinking. They got to do some stuff in Atlanta. Atlanta is too good of a city, too good of a franchise, in my opinion, to have lackluster coaching. For coaching to be the reason that they haven't gotten over the hump. And I think coaching has been the reason that they haven't gotten over the hump. They can change that this offseason. They got to do it right, though. They can't make a mistake. They got to do it right. And Arthur Blank, you got to get out of the way. I don't think Arthur Blank, other than just signing off and saying yes, I don't think he should be involved at all in this search. That's tough to tell a man who owns a franchise that you shouldn't be part of the hiring process. Well, how good has Arthur Blank been? I mean, some of the mistakes that he has made, it's let somebody make the decisions, man. You hire a general manager, let the general manager do his job. Arthur Blank's got to take a step back. Somebody said over on TikTok, can't stand him personally, but you think Urban Meyer is out for good. Urban Meyer is never going to coach in the National Football League again. Not 1 second, and nor should he. Now, can he coach in college again? Possibly, but with the stories and stuff that came out, I don't think there's a school that's going to take, maybe a desperate school might take him. Hell, if Ohio State finally said goodbye to Ryan Day, I think they would take Urban Meyer back. I think they take Urban Meyer back in a heartbeat. I absolutely do. And I think they should. They should. You know, but Urban Meyer's not coaching in professional football. Not another second. He didn't have respect from Jacksonville, and Jacksonville was awful. He didn't have respect from any of those guys from day one. They saw through his BS from day one. So, no. So, Falcons are never going to make the right decisions, according to Michael on TikTok. Man, I hope that's not true. I'm not a big Falcons fan, but I don't dislike the Falcons. I'd like to see them be better. I just think they've gotten in their own way with bad coaching, man. Bad coaching. Let's move on here. Let's flip the script a little bit. Going to talk a little NBA. Now, you guys, you tell me. I've started paying attention to the NBA a little sooner than what I usually do. I usually don't even pay attention at all to the NBA until February. At least Christmas. I watch Christmas Day. I might dip my toe in a little bit, but I usually don't pay attention until February. I paid attention this year. So the in-season tournament, while completely meaningless, I've started watching. Who do you guys think, and I'm going to let you guys tell me, top 5 point guards in the league? Who are the top 5? Do we think it's Steph Curry, De'Aaron Fox, SGA? Who are our top 5 in the league? I think those 3 got to be in there. You know, I think Luka. We know Luka's got to be in there. So, top 5. It's tough, isn't it? Ever since basketball has turned guard-centric, and some of these guys are just ball dominant, it's crazy to think how some of these guys have become the best in the league. Luka, SGA, Curry. So it's weird, but Jamal Murray maybe. No, I don't think Jamal Murray's in that class. He plays really good in the playoffs, so you can't take that away from him. But I don't think Jamal Murray, as my man Speedy over on YouTube said, Jamal Murray, maybe. And I don't think you put Jamal Murray up there yet. I don't think you do. What's going on, my man? What's going on? So, Halliburton, Curry, Luka, SGA. Yeah. Fox at number 5. It's tough. Joseph on TikTok says Curry 1, Luka 2, Fox 3, Halliburton, and anyone at 5. I don't know. SGA, Luka, Halliburton, Fox, Brunson, Curry. I mean, here's the thing. And you're right, Michael. Curry, technically, to me, he's not a point guard. Now, he plays the position, and they announce him as the point guard, but Curry's not a point guard. But I'm going to put him in that category because technically, that's what people say that he is. They say that he's a point guard. So, so I'll let that go. I'll let it go. Because technically, we could say LeBron's a point guard. I mean, if we're being honest, we can really say LeBron is a point guard. But you never hear his name mentioned in the top point guards in the league. But wouldn't we say that LeBron is a point guard? I think we would. What he does on the Lakers, I mean, yeah, that's what a point guard does. But we'll leave him out of this for now. I think basketball has gone so guard-centric. I mean, and I think that's why a lot of people have kind of turned off the NBA. I mean, a lot of people love the scoring, but they've made big men just irrelevant, where big men used to be a thing. And point guards are so dominant now. Like, nobody throws the ball in the post, and you can win that way. I don't care what anybody says. You can win that way, but they just don't do that. Luka all day. Yeah, Luka. Now, somebody said that Luka was already a top 5 point guard of all time. I'm not going that far. I love Luka's game. I love what he's done. I think he can be outstanding. I think he absolutely can finish as a top 3 point guard of all time. I think they got to win something, but he could definitely be up there. But there ain't no way that I'm saying that Luka's a top 5 point guard ever right now. Why? I mean, longevity, I know people bash longevity, but longevity's got to matter a little bit, doesn't it? I mean, you can't just have 2 good years and be considered the greatest of all time. Now, I'm not saying Luka's had 2 good years. I know it's been more than that. But I'm just saying, you can't just say, well, yeah, you played a few years. You were great. You're one of the best ever. And that's it. It doesn't work that way. For instance, C.J. Stroud is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. Had, in my opinion, the greatest rookie year any quarterback has ever had. But he's only played 1 year. Are we saying he's top 5? Of course not. Of course not. So, Kyrie's not a point guard. He's not even listed as a point guard. So, I wouldn't put him in that category. I do like Kyrie. Love his game. Just wouldn't list him at that. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has to be top 5 right now, according to my man, Wakan. You are 1,000% right. There's no way he can't be top 5. No way. On any list, if SGA is not top 5, it's not a real list. And I'm usually not that guy that tells people that your list isn't valid and blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you you're crazy if you say something crazy. But if you don't have him in your top 5 right now, you're nuts. The guy plays great. He doesn't get sped up. He gets to every spot that he wants to get to. If you back off of him, he'll knock it right down in your face. If you get too close, he'll blow right by you. Sets up his teammates. To me, he's top 3. So, yeah, SGA is pushing top 5 in the league. Exactly. He's pushing top 5 in the league. Not just point guard, the league. Because who are you taking over him? Joker, Embiid, Giannis, Tatum? Who? I mean, I love LeBron, but I'm not taking LeBron over him. I'm not taking Curry over him. I'm just not. I'm not. Luka? Yeah, probably. And that's the thing. That's one thing. It's a battle. Him and Luka. It's a battle. So, take SGA over Tatum? That's tough. It's tough. I tell y'all what, man. Let's reconvene on this next week. Next Wednesday, let's come back. Let's all come back. Let's take a look at the NBA and find out and see if we can come up with a solidified top five. Somebody put Luka, SGA, Halliburton, Fox, Curry. I think that's about as solid a list as that I've seen today. That was my list right there. That's my list. Is Luka, SGA, Halliburton, Fox, and Curry. That is literally my list. And I got Luka and SGA at 1A and 1B. I cannot decide who's better. I can't decide who's better. Because Luka does his thing. They do it differently. Luka does his thing and he's super ball dominant. SGA is not really that ball dominant. I mean, he has the ball in his hands, but he's not ball dominant like Luka is. So it's just different. I like them both. So Luka's not a taller Curry. That's a bad take. Matter of fact, that's a silly take because Luka doesn't shoot the basketball anywhere close to what Steph Curry does. You got to stop that. And Luka's a much better rebounder and passer than Curry because he's bigger. He's bigger. But they don't move at the same speed. Curry runs around the court, comes off screen. Luka doesn't do anything like that. And they're not the same player. Not even close. Luka better beat LeBron tonight. I'm going to watch tonight. It's going to be interesting. I'll be paying attention. Good game in LA tonight. So Luka's a better Carmelo. Luka's different than Carmelo. Carmelo, I mean, he wasn't passing like that. He wasn't doing though. He wasn't crafty. I mean, Carmelo was great scoring the basketball, but that was it as far as on the offensive end. You know, he wasn't setting up teammates and creating shots for other guys. That wasn't his thing. He was a scorer. There's nothing wrong with that either. So, Luka is Luka. I was joking. Okay. Luka is better than Carmelo. Yeah. I mean, as just a sheer scorer, Carmelo was outstanding. One of the best the NBA's ever seen. But Luka may have caught him just because he can do so many different things with the basketball. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. But let's move on, man. Let's get to the open mic session. I'm going to take some questions. We're going to read some stuff. So fire some questions away. What do you guys want to talk about? I'll answer as much as I can. We're going to bring up some people over on TikTok. If anybody wants to come up and you've got something to say that makes sense, we will do it. And we will go from there. Let me get the right grid up here. Boom, boom, boom. Let's do it. Bear down. What makes the final round of the NFL playoffs? So this weekend, I think I got San Francisco beating the Packers. Not I think. San Francisco is going to beat the Packers, and I like the Lions over the Bucs. I like the Lions. And it's easy to say that San Francisco is going to go to the Super Bowl. I'm not ready to say that just yet. Let me see who comes out healthy in the game because I'm not going to put anything past the Lions just yet. I'm just not going to do it. I'm rooting for the Lions to get to the Super Bowl. I don't know if they will. It's not that I'm rooting against the 49ers. I just want to see the Lions go to the Super Bowl. What I really wanted was a Lions-Browns Super Bowl. Two teams that have never been, got a crazy rich history. But, you know, the Browns turned back into the Browns, and it is what it is. The Browns did Brown things and got the doors blown off. Jiminy Christmas. So in the AFC, I got the Bills beating the Chiefs, and I think that is going to happen. I don't think the Chiefs wanted that matchup at all. I think the Chiefs wanted to avoid the Bills like the plague. And I think the Chiefs are going to lose. I do. I just don't think that they have enough to go to Buffalo and win. I take that back. They got enough to go win. I just don't believe that they're going to go win. Let's just call that. I think the Chiefs go to Buffalo and get beat. I think they go there and they get beat. So then in the other matchup, the Ravens and the Texans. Look, it's kind of like this. Lamar better show up. Because if Lamar doesn't show up, he is going to get crucified, and he'll deserve it. So if Lamar plays well, I think the Ravens win. It's going to be outdoors, bad weather, on the road, young team. They got to be able to take advantage of all of that stuff with the Texans. Now, the Texans just won a game. They were young, but the game was at home. That matters, man. When you're young, inexperienced, playing at home, that matters. Going on the road, that's different. Going on the road is different in the playoffs, especially for a young team. I think the Ravens have enough to win that game, and I think they win. I think they come out on fire. I think they come out hot. They're going to be fresh. And I think they come out and they get after the Texans. I think they come out and they get after the Texans and try to make a statement. I don't know if they're going to blow them out, but I think they come out, play more physical football, and they make a statement. So I think Lamar comes out and does his thing. If Lamar comes out and does his thing, the Ravens will be fine. The Ravens will be fine. So that's who I got. I got the 49ers. I got the Lions. I got the Bills. And I got the Ravens. I think we're going to be set up for a really good weekend of football. As usual, getting down to the final. It's the final 8 now. Trying to get down to the final 4. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. But it's almost over, isn't it? It's kind of sad. Football's almost over. It's almost over. Then we got the big wait. So that's why I'm trying to get into basketball. Basketball's got to do its thing this year. College basketball, look, I'm a Louisville fan, so college basketball sucks for me. I can't get into it like I usually do. I watch K-State. I love K-State. They won again last night in overtime. K-State's going to give some people problems, but they're missing a big piece to their team that would put them over the top, and it's going to be a problem for them moving forward. So, but we'll see. We'll see. Tar Heels, North Carolina. Yeah, they're going to beat the brakes off of Louisville tonight. So I'm not even going to watch. I'm not even going to watch. Not turning it on for 1 second. Not going to do it, people. I'm not going to do it. What else we got, man? What else we got? I know we talked about Atlanta coaching search. There's some other coaching searches out there that are interesting. So New England made their hire. Who's going to Carolina? Let's ask that. Who's going to Carolina? I mean, is anybody going to take that job? I mean, somebody eventually, obviously, will take it. But who wants it? Like, have you even heard names? I know we've heard a couple of young coordinators, the guys that I hadn't heard of. But, like, who wants to go take that job? I mean, I think Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator in Detroit, I think he was on to something last year when he said no. Now, you know it must be bad when an offensive coordinator says, I've never been a head coach, and I don't want the Carolina job. Whatever happened in that interview or whatever somebody told him, he was like, nope, I don't want it. So somebody said it's going to be a retread. It might. It just might. Because I don't see anybody going into that situation, that lion's den of an owner, of a guy who's having meetings on Mondays to critique you, telling you about football stuff when they have absolutely no idea what the hell they're talking about. But they're going to tell you about football, dressing you down in front of your subordinates. Tepper has lost his damn mind. And I don't know anybody who would want to go and be a part of that. I don't know anybody that would want to go and be a part of that. So it's just crazy. Just crazy. But we'll see. We will see. What's going on, Hawking?
Hey, I just, first of all, I want to say let's go Duke.
Okay.
To me, you're like I don't see who would want that Carolina job. I mean, you got an owner who just threw. Oh, sorry about that. You got an owner who just threw a drink on fans.
Yes.
And then you got an owner like you said who doesn't even know football.
Yes.
Doesn't even know football, and he's critiquing you on how to coach. I mean, that's just a disaster. It's a disaster. But as a Browns fan, I will say this: the Browns did something today that might help the NFL out. They got rid of Alex Van Pelt, and he's a very great offensive coordinator. And whoever gets that guy will be getting a good offense.
I didn't understand that move that the Browns getting rid of Alex Van Pelt. I didn't understand why they got rid of him. It's almost like they blamed him for the offense's issues. It wasn't him. I mean, the offense ran smooth without or Deshaun Watson. So it wasn't Alex Van Pelt's issue. I didn't understand why they did that. That was crazy. But you're also right as far as Tepper. Tepper, I mean, literally, the guy's throwing drinks on fans because he didn't like what a fan was teasing him. So he just threw a drink on the guy. I mean, what? That's a punk move. That's what a guy that can't fight or just a chump does to somebody. They want to get into an argument, and then because they can't handle the argument, they throw a drink on somebody. I'm like, what owner does that? And do you want to go coach for that guy? Hell no. Hell no. It's ridiculous.
Well, why would you want to go? Why would you want to go coach for a team also that passed up on C.J. Stroud?
Well, I mean, that was differences of opinion, which again, that was Tepper. Everybody was saying take C.J. Stroud, and they took Bryce Young. I'm still not convinced Bryce Young can't play in the NFL. I think Bryce Young has a future. They got to build some stuff around him. First of all, they got to get an offensive line that's worth a damn. But as far as talent-wise, Stroud is better, but that doesn't mean Young can't play. I think Young can play. He just got to have some people around him to help him. So I think he'll be all right. I think he will be all right. I appreciate it, man. Whoa, Steve. Hold on, man. You got to fix your microphone, bro. Oh, well. Let's see what we got over here on YouTube. James Richards, how bad are the Browns are kicking themselves by not having the cheaper, healthy Baker? That's a great point. That is a great point. That the Browns have to be kicking themselves thinking, we got rid of Baker Mayfield and we didn't have to. We got rid of Baker Mayfield and we took Deshaun Watson. We paid him all this money. And Baker didn't just play horrible. I never understood that. I never got why they wanted to get rid of him. I mean, he wasn't great. And I know they were banking on 2020, Deshaun Watson coming in and saving the day. But that wasn't going to happen. And it hasn't happened. And now they're paying the price for it. We'll see what happens in the offseason. Hopefully, Deshaun can come back and play well. Does anybody have confidence that Deshaun Watson is going to get back to his 2020 form? I do not. But does anybody have that confidence? I think that 2020 form of Deshaun Watson is long gone. Long gone. And it ain't coming back. It ain't coming back. So, let's see here. What do we got over here? He's got to put the work in. Yeah, Deshaun's got to get better. Deshaun's got to get better. We got to see it. We got to see it. So, y'all keep tapping the screen over on TikTok, man. And again, if you're in here and you're not following, please give us a follow. Trying to get to at least 30 follows and 3,500 likes. We're over 3,500, so let's get to 5 grand likes. CJ, yeah, that's a good point, James Richards on YouTube. CJ wouldn't have made much of a difference in that offense in Carolina. That was bad all around, not just the offense. Correct. It was a dumpster fire in Carolina. But when you hire a coach, a retread coach that had literally just been fired for being bad, what do you expect? I mean, you brought in Frank Reich, who hadn't deserved to be a head coach. He had just gotten fired because his idea of head coaching and building a team was bringing in washed up old quarterbacks to lead a franchise to try to get to the playoffs. That was what he thought was going to work. And you bring that guy in and then you wonder why your team is terrible? It's stupidity to me. Stupidity to me. I don't get it. Never got it. Not going to get it. It's a bad owner. Hopefully he changes and says, you know what? I'm going to step away from all football activities and just let the football guys do football stuff, and I'll back away. So what's going on, Steven?
Hey, Big B. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Wonderful weekend in football as a Giants fan, watching Dallas. Absolutely collapsed.
Yeah, I would imagine as a Giants fan, this was a great weekend for you. It's about as good as weekend as it could be when you're not playing.
I was shocked, dude, because I didn't see the collapse coming that hard.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I was almost for sure Dallas was going to win. I mean, I didn't think Philly was going to win. I'd been saying it all week. Philly was finished. But I thought Dallas was definitely going to win. I mean, I had no doubt that they were going to win. I was completely wrong.
Yeah, I was right there with you on that one because I just didn't see it. He was playing extremely well, but like I don't know what it is. The playoffs is his kryptonite. And when you talk about retreaded coaches, I felt like Mike McCarthy, even getting his position in Dallas, was a retreaded coach.
Absolutely.
You know?
And Mike McCarthy in Dallas. Yeah, Mike McCarthy in Dallas is definitely a retread coach. And I know a lot of people don't think that because he was out for a couple of years. But here's the thing. Mike McCarthy, when you go to coach in Dallas, you know you'd have no power. You have no say-so on the roster. And I think Mike McCarthy was just happy getting back into coaching, and he didn't care. He's like, I'm going to coach the Cowboys. I'm going to make a bunch of money. Yeah, there's pressure. But you know what? I don't have to build a roster. I'm not responsible for the roster. So it is what it is. I think some coaches now, a lot of coaches want, hey, look, if you're going to hold me accountable, I need to be able to go and have some say so. And you're just not going to have that in Dallas. So you almost get, I don't want to disrespect them and say puppet coaches, because I think that's going too far. But you take away their authority. You're cutting their sea legs out from underneath them.
Yeah, because who was the coach? Jimmy Johnson when he left. He said the same thing about Jerry.
Yeah, well, Jerry wanted the credit. That was his problem. Jerry didn't put the team together. He signed off on everything. He signed off on paying guys and trades and stuff like that. But it wasn't his idea. He didn't put it together. And he wanted the credit of putting it together when nobody was going to give him the credit because they knew he didn't do it. And now, I mean, and that was the curse of Jerry Johnson and not Jerry Johnson, Jimmy Johnson. Jerry Jones is getting what he deserves. That's you don't fire head coaches because you don't get the credit for your team winning. That's not what you do. And he did it. And we talk about people kicking themselves. He is kicking himself up and down all over the place. So that's what he gets. That is what he gets. So,
And then, like you said, when you look at the Texans, I told you Will Hernandez and all of them were going to have an impact when they came back.
yeah, and they did. They sure did, man. They absolutely had an impact.
They came out there and showed out excited to see that. And if I feel like if Tank was there this weekend, I think they'd actually have a good shot against Baltimore.
They would.
Like you said, in
I-
someone else's house.
Yes, it's going to be too much. It's going to be too much going to Baltimore. Yeah, it's going to be too much. Bad weather on the road, super young team. It's going to be too much this weekend. Now, would I be surprised if they win? I'll even go as far as say yes. I'll be surprised if they win this game. I'll be very surprised. It doesn't mean they can't, but I would be very surprised. I just think Baltimore is better than they are.
No, absolutely. Even with Lamar Jackson now passing the ball and doing it, he's just executing a lot better.
Yeah.
Like, in the offense, the defense is clicking, and a home game, like you said, that field's going to be crazy.
Yeah, it is, man. Well, I appreciate it, man. I'll holler at you later, Steven. Thank you.
Thank you too.
Yep. All right, people, we're going to shut this one down for today. I appreciate it. As always, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Central Time, our new start time. I appreciate everybody joining in today. Again, TikTok. If you're not following and you're in here, please give us a follow. YouTube, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you come check out the show later, please subscribe to the show. I appreciate everybody being in here. I will holler at you guys tomorrow. No show on Friday, just to make sure we're clear. Having a little bit of a procedure done, nothing major or anything like that, but no show on Friday. So tomorrow we'll go over the NFL games for the week and all that good stuff. I will holler at you guys. Aloha.